what's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz, Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, and if you haven't gotten sick of my voice this week, I'm coming back to you with a few Royal Rumble thoughts. Yeah, I've done, I think, more videos in the past week than I have in a long-ass time. From WWE last week to the Rumble preview to two separate videos on the Netflix thing covering The Rock and a couple of other things, and the triple WrestleMania main event that we know now, pretty sure, isn't happening, to a brief news video I did with a bunch of TNA news, which you guys can still go back and check out because that's a lot of fun as well. May or may not factor into what we're going to talk about tonight and another video I've got coming up shortly. But the Rumble was yesterday, and everybody's had their 2 cents already, and no, I'm not touching on the press conference because fuck all that noise. I will be mentioning one thing from that press conference, and then we will quickly move on. The press conference was short too. It was the two Rumble winners and Papa H. Oh yes, and is he getting a bunch of shit that he doesn't deserve? Abso-fucking-lutely. Anyways, before we get into the Royal Rumble, I want to touch on a couple of quick notes from SmackDown, mostly because they tied into the Rumble. The war between Legado del Fantasma and the LWO has exceedingly gotten one more member in Elektra Lopez, rejoining Santos Escobar as she did in his version of Legado in NXT. So that's kind of cool. We're going to get Elektra Lopez versus Zelina Vega at some point, I'm sure. Trick and Mello were both on SmackDown. Mello was there because he had a match set up with the hell's his name? Austin Theory. And Trick came down to help him at the last minute. And let me tell you something. I'll tell you something for free, folks, all right? From the black and gold days to the 2.0 days to now, everybody is saying, oh, you watch NXT, that's cute. Nobody ever watches it. Listen to the pop, not even for Carmelo, who had a match, but for Trick Williams, who did the run-in. Just the run-in. Listen to that reaction. NXT has a following, and that's not the only time I'm going to say that tonight either. The other thing is, and I don't want to graze over this because it should be bigger news than it is, but it was pretty damn predictable as well. As soon as we put the women's championships on Katana Chance and Kaden Carter, we knew they were placeholders for the Kabuki Warriors because the basically all of Damage Control are doing the whole Undisputed Era Prophecy of Gold thing. Io's got a title, Kairi and Asuka have a title. Dakota Kai, I think, is still injured. Nobody's really talking about it. And Bayley, we're going to talk about later on. But yeah, the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane, are your tag team champions in what was really a good match. And everybody's going to say, oh, this is just, you know, Kabuki Warriors taking their spot. But at this point, if you're trying to tell me that Katana Chance and Kaden Carter aren't good, then fuck off. Like, all the tandem offense they do, all the sort of fluid, like, passing wrestling that they do, they're the first team to hold that championship that actually presents themselves as a team, not two singles people, since the Iconics. Now, don't get me wrong, lots of cool combinations have held those titles, and that's fine. We do the same thing with the men's titles, so there's a bit of parity there. But if you want to rehab, and the same is true for the Kabuki Warriors now, don't get me wrong. But give me a team that looks like a team, that acts like a team, that fights like a team, that wrestles like a team, that competes like a team, that loses like a team, that wins like a team. Katana Chance and Kaden Carter better get their fucking flowers. They were fun in the Rumble as well. We'll get to that in a second. Kabuki Warriors, along with Io Shirai, did the typical photo shoot backstage after somebody wins a title, and noticeably absent from that group shot is Bayley, so storytelling is a thing. Also, you had Ava, she's got no surname, she's The Rock's daughter, who is now the youngest ever general manager, the general manager of NXT, as the guest on SmackDown, the guest of Nick Aldis, as people came to get their numbers for the Rumble, because the Tumbler's back! We're going to talk about a lot of returns, but let's talk about the fact that the Tumbler's back, which is fucking awesome. So, other than that, it was just, hey, we've got a pay-per-view tomorrow episode of SmackDown. Let's be real. A lot of hype, a lot of video package, holy Christ, if I see one more version of the By the Numbers video. I mean, I know the numbers change as we add stats and whatever, and that's kind of cool, and the people that are in it probably think it's wonderful, but play it once. You don't need to play it on SmackDown. You don't need to play it at the beginning of the pay-per-view. You need to play it maybe once before one of the Rumbles, and then you're good. I know you got to fill time. I know you've got Peacock contracts and WWE contracts and whatever the case may be. And how weird is that going to be once we get to Netflix, which I've already got 2 pods out. If you want my opinion on the Netflix thing, so go back and check that out. Royal Rumble had no matches on the kickoff. Had no additional matches announced on SmackDown. It was a very tight, concise 4-match show. Now, I say 4-match show when you consider the fact that 2 of the matches are Royal Rumble matches. But still, on paper, and I mean, everybody says, you know, we don't wrestle on paper, we wrestle on canvas. But on paper, there's 4 matches. Before we got to either of the matches, same as last year, Pat McAfee showed up as a surprise, and Michael Cole went out of his way to say, you didn't know about this, did you? It's not like last year, I actually knew about it this year. Which is great. The commentary feud between Pat McAfee and Corey Graves continues to be entertaining but not beaten over the head. And then we get to the Women's Rumble match. Now, there was more meat to the Women's Rumble match, and for all the people that are saying that the women's match was better, I won't necessarily say that it was better, but I will say that I would have swapped the 2 Rumbles around and started with the guys' Rumble. It is what it is. I don't have a full rundown of the Rumble. I've got a couple of spots, and mostly I've got the surprise entrance. So if you want more than that, there are other people that have done far more deep dives. Go check out, if you want a better deep dive on the 2 Rumble matches, go check out What Culture. Simon Miller did ups and downs for the Royal Rumble. He's going to break it. He breaks it down a lot better than I'm about to. But we started with Natalya, and I mean, Natalya gets the wet fart in church response because, as good as she is, WWE has never given anybody a reason to care, which is super unfortunate, especially when she's immediately overshadowed by entrant number 2. Talked about this yesterday on the TNA video. She did her duties on the way out of TNA. Trinity is Naomi once again. She has come back to WWE. It's been confirmed. And she was number 2 in the Rumble. She lasted 1 hour and 2 minutes and 8 seconds. She, in the time that she was in there, eliminated Alba Fire and Becky Lynch. Not too shabby at all. Now, I talk about Naomi, who just did her duties on the way out of TNA, and it was 2 back-to-back title matches against a certain somebody that I mentioned yesterday, and that is TNA World Women's Champion Jordynne Grace, who joined us in the Rumble at number 5. Now, this was, I said it before and I'll say it again, this was a turning point for this working relationship between WWE and TNA, and everybody says, oh, you're going to act like Mickie James doesn't exist. No. Go back to what I said yesterday. Mickie James coming back in and getting to be there as the Impact Women's Champion was awesome. Did the hardcore country music, was the Impact version of herself, got to carry out the belt, they acknowledged her as champion, etc. Jordynne Grace, by virtue of the fact that she's not just an ex-WWE person, sort of solidifies that it wasn't just a one-off, and it wasn't just, yeah, you're in TNA, but you used to be one of us, so we'll call it like a nostalgia pop. Jordynne Grace came out with her title, with her music, with her TNA music. I mean, they gave her a pretty generic Tron with her name on it, but that's fine. Now, the hype from commentary was awesome. Now, you had Pat McAfee, who's only there sometimes, so he kind of gets to be the tell me about this person guy on commentary. And I don't think people were saying he's acting like a dumbass on commentary. What it does is it feeds to somebody like a Corey Graves, and Corey Graves gets a lot of flack, but Corey Graves, when he's excited about something, is awesome. He said, who is this person? She's the TNA champion. Oh, you don't know about Jordynne Grace? Let me tell you about fucking Jordynne Grace. She's got muscles in places most people don't even have places, which is a cliche, but it is what it is. But he also was sure, as soon as Jordynne Grace got to the ring, to emphasize the fact that Naomi, who we're all excited to see back, just finished doing back-to-back matches with this Jordynne Grace for that particular title that's around her waist. So they kind of put over TNA and their championship. Now, I have to make this point. Is Jordynne Grace one of my personal favorite performers? Not really. She's not at the top of my list, although there is a match that I want to see now that we will talk about much, much later, I'm sure. But more so, like I say, it's the symbolism of it. It's a symbolism of her coming in, getting to be her TNA self, carrying her TNA championship, and not just being somebody who's there because they used to be a WWE person. And I thought that was fantastic. The fact that she immediately established her link with Naomi in the ring. Now, it'll be funny because a week and 2 weeks ago, she was facing this same person with a different name, so that's fine. But they had this cool moment in the ring that everybody seemed to embrace and applaud and whatever the case may be, and then they went about kicking the shit out of each other. Now, much like Trick Williams, I'm going to say the same thing about Jordynne Grace. TNA has always, in the 20 whatever years they've been around, they've always been a punchline. Ah, yeah, they're this cute little company, they're doing something in the corner, but nobody really knows what's going on over there. Nobody really cares. The pop that Jordynne Grace got was fucking awesome. Really, really, really cool. Yeah, so they made the Naomi link, and she did some power exchanges with a lot of people. She did a thing with Ivy Nile where she was gorilla pressing somebody, and Ivy Nile was gorilla pressing somebody. And then later on in the match, yes, of course, we had to put her with Bianca Belair. That's fine. It is what it is. Actually, she was eliminated by Bianca Belair. She took a fucking hell of a bump. She took a KOD on the apron, which, I mean, you're a guest in WWE's house. That's a hell of a bump to take. Really, really cool to see Jordynne Grace. And the other thing I want to say before I get off of this is there was a lot of people are, oh, listen to the pop that Jordynne Grace got, and it was louder than some of the WWE women. Maybe that's because, you know, they don't get a pop, whatever. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, and here's the thing. You can have somebody that you like in WWE. In my case, it would be somebody like Shotzi, who came out in her tank, which was fucking awesome. But if you see a person, you pop for the person, that's it. If you see a person, pop for the person, pop for what their presence could mean, pop for the, oh, they're from another company, it's kind of neat that they're here, pop for the potential that that creates. Hey, who else are we going to maybe see from TNA or wherever else? You can pop for the people you like, but the pop of possibility, and I'm not trying to make that into a pun, I promise, is a different kind of pop. And I think that's the pop that Jordynne Grace got. And good for her. She made a hell of a showing for herself as well. She lasted 19 minutes and 10 seconds. She didn't eliminate anybody, unfortunately, but I can kind of see how that works. Like I say, Shotzi came out in her tank, which is always going to pop me because I'm biased like that. Bayley was in at 3, and she was joined by other members of Damage Control, Kairi Sane and Asuka. Kairi did this spot where she got thrown out of the ring. She had her hands behind her. I mean, I'm trying to mime it out now. You guys can't see this because it's an audio platform. But she had her arms behind her holding on to the apron and her feet on the LED board of the apron. She did, and people have already memed it to death. She looked like Spider-Man trying to hold the boat together in whichever Spider-Man movie that was. It looked really painful as well, and then as the spot kind of started falling apart, somebody bonked her on the head, and both her and Asuka were eliminated, and Bayley sold it perfectly because the people that she still thinks are her friends are now gone, so her backup is gone. During Valhalla's entrance, now I will say, once again, to the people online that are saying that Valhalla can't wrestle or they don't want her to have a job or whatever the case may be, they don't agree with her politics, which is totally unrelated to wrestling. They're trying to call her weird because they pretend that she's the only wrestler that wrestles barefoot, which is also a really, really strange focal point. Her entrance into the Rumble got overshadowed by two things. One, on commentary, Michael Cole is way too weirdly excited about the antlers. Can we talk about that? And the fact that R-Truth came out during her entrance because he thought that this was his Rumble, and then proceeded to run into the ring, say where are the rest of the guys, and then get eliminated by Nia Jax, which some people are praising because it's supposedly a callback, but again, it's Nia Jax. I got nothing. Now, the distraction of all this led to Valhalla being in the ring an incredibly short amount of time. And then we don't have anything, unfortunately, and I'm not trying to bury anybody by saying this, but we don't have anything exciting until the last 4 entrants. The last 4 entrants, by the time we got to 27, was Roxanne Perez. She didn't eliminate anybody, but she had a hell of a showing, sort of ricocheting around the ring, no pun intended. Lasted 8 minutes and 29 seconds, and yeah, just, again, oh, nobody watches NXT. Listen to the pop for Roxanne Perez. Now, I will say, if you watched the pre-show, this was kind of spoiled because they were interviewing somebody in the empty arena while they were testing out the Titantrons, and the Roxanne Perez logo came up. So there was an idea that she was going to be in the Rumble, but yeah, they've got this weird story with her in NXT right now where she's got anger issues, and we think she's going to try sort of turn heel on what's her name, Lyra Valkyria, who's the current NXT Women's Champion. Now, it would have been kind of cool to see Lyra Valkyria representing NXT in this match, considering she is the Women's Champion. They have done that before. I think they did that with Roxanne Perez while she was champion. But yeah, Roxanne Perez got in there. She made a good showing of herself. Didn't eliminate anybody, but almost lasted 10 minutes. And good for her. She's got a title shot next week at, what the hell pay-per-view is it? Vengeance Day. Number 28. Number 28 was predictable, but also one of the names that people were most excited about. We finally got the debut of Jade Cargill, and from the sounds of it, I couldn't hear it over the pop. She got a huge pop. Good for her. But it sounds like she has her music from TNA. Now, all the weirdos online, oh my god, look at it, WWE can't create anything. They're just copy-pasting what WWE did. Okay. Edge, Sting, FTR, the Hardys, Andrade, Aleister Black, Adam Cole right now is running another stable called the Undisputed fill in the blank. So please tell me about copying. Please tell me about copying. And tell me also how what you've said there gives no creative credit to the wrestlers themselves. I'm just saying. Jade Cargill made a hell of a showing of herself. Again, she's one of those ones. She falls in the same category as Jordan Grace. Not my favorite people, but in no way, shape, or form am I going to stand here and say that they aren't impressive as hell. This was a cool way. Close to the end of the Rumble, she wouldn't have to show any longevity, but she did. She was in there for 11 minutes and 3 seconds. She eliminated Becky Lynch, Naomi, and Nia Jax, which isn't too shabby. I will say the camera work on the Rumble, the look on Becky Lynch's face when Jade Cargill threw out Nia Jax, single-handedly, by the way, good for her, was a combination of laughing at Nia Jax, but also holy shit. It was a weird spot. Naomi kind of got knocked off the ring sort of unceremoniously, and I mean, eliminating Becky Lynch from the Rumble is a cool feather in Jade Cargill's cap. Cool, we have Jade Cargill, so let's slot all the other information into place. Who's she going after? What show is she on? Etc. 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 There was a lot of stare down between her and Bianca Belair as well. Cool. Give them a spot on the card. If Charlotte hadn't gotten injured, I can almost guarantee you the match for WrestleMania would have been Jade Cargill versus Charlotte, which is awesome. You know why it's awesome? Because Charlotte gives everybody their best match. And Charlotte's awesome no matter what. No matter whether you like her, no matter whether you are predisposed to not give her credit, no matter whether you hate the fact that she's white, blonde, successful, and has an unpopular dad, Charlotte Flair gives everybody in that division their best match. And I'm talking the people that I love. The people like your Rhea Ripleys, your Becky Lynches, your Shotzi Blackhearts, your Io Skys, your Asukas. They've all had... And for those of you out there that like Sasha Banks / Mercedes Moné, all of them have had their best match with Charlotte Flair. That would have been the match. That would have been the perfect entry point. I have to believe that there would have been a huge Charlotte Jade spot in this match if Charlotte wasn't injured. By the way, side note, go follow Charlotte Flair on Instagram. The fact that she's already rehabbing, exercising, working out, training, whatever you want to call it, to the degree that she's at, after fucking herself up the way she did, is absolutely admirable. Now, what I will say right now, if you don't have Charlotte by WrestleMania, which you probably won't, let's be real, I'm not a doctor, I don't know about dates and shit. If you don't have Charlotte, definitely do Jade Cargill versus Bianca Belair. Cool. Have your powerhouse spectacle match. If you do have Charlotte by WrestleMania, sorry, Bianca Belair, down the fucking bench. Oh, yes. Number 29. Another one that you could possibly see going up against Bianca Belair at WrestleMania for reasons is Tiffany Stratton. Now, Tiffany Stratton plays the actual accusation that Charlotte gets of, oh, she's just another blonde Barbie in WWE. Tiffany Stratton has taken that on as a gimmick, which is fucking amazing, except for the fact that it's used against her in the fact that nobody wants to agree how good she is in the ring. Now, she had a quick run. She was only in there for about 7 minutes, 6 minutes and 52 seconds, according to what I've got written down here. She got one elimination, and that's Roxanne Perez. They've got history fighting over the NXT Women's Championship, and she entered the ring via a swanton bomb onto the whole field. Tiffany Stratton's awesome as well. I would almost say get rid of the gimmick so that people can acknowledge what a great wrestler she is, but she shouldn't have to get rid of the gimmick for people to realize what a great wrestler she is, because the gimmick is fun too. It is what it is. Now, the last one, everybody was saying, oh my god, maybe it's going to be another TNA person, maybe it's going to be AJ Lee, which would have been awesome, maybe it's going to be Mercedes Moné, which would have made me groan, but also laugh at the AEW fans, but it wasn't. It was Liv Morgan, which is equally awesome. Now, comebacks and debuts and all that thing at the Rumble are awesome, but I would love to see a little bit of recognition for somebody just coming back from injury the way she has, because she's already been there, already been busting her ass, already earning herself quite a big fan base. And she didn't get the pop that I think she would have gotten earlier in the Rumble, because people thought so hard that they were going to get one last bomb at the number 30 spot. I think both number 30 spots suffered from that, by the way. But she came in at number 30. Now, she's been, like I say, she's been away with injury. She got into this, like, scandal that lasted a day. Oh my god, she had some pot in her car. And, of course, people blow it out of proportion, like they seem to be doing a lot this week with a lot of news stories that have nothing to do with the wrestling. Liv Morgan got in there. She only spent about 6.5 minutes in there, 6 minutes and 26 seconds to be exact. She eliminated Zoe Stark and Jade Cargill. So she's got that on her resume. Maybe we get Cargill versus Liv Morgan, which would be a lot of fun. But it was Cargill, Liv Morgan, and Bayley were your final three. And after Liv Morgan hit the Oblivion off the ring apron onto Jade Cargill to eliminate her, Bayley just kind of gave her the boots and kicked her out. So your winner is Bayley, who came in at number 3. I don't have the number. Oh, I didn't write the number down. There we go. Bayley was in there for 1 hour, 3 minutes, and 3 seconds. She eliminated Indy Hartwell, Candice LeRae, Tegan Nox, Maxine Dupree, Bianca Belair, let's fucking go, Tiffany Stratton, and Liv Morgan to win her spot and go on to WrestleMania. Now, there's been no indications as to what champion she's going for obvious storyline reasons, but fucking good for Bayley. I'm sorry, good for Bayley. I think she was the last one. Do you remember when the Four Horsewomen came up and Bayley stayed behind? I think this is that. This is her catching up again. And I don't think she should have to catch up, because she's given so much, and I know that that's a cliche, but it really is. She gave so much of herself during COVID, when lots of other people, for various reasons, had to fuck off. She was there trying to get us entertained. The COVID rivalry of Bayley and Michael Cole was something special. It really was. And since she's come back, she's been sort of the punching bag in this Damage Control story. People have liked to shit on it for reasons, but I think that's more so because they like brands that don't have very functional women's divisions at all. But Bayley, again, is another one, not quite in the same way of Charlotte Flair, but in more of a storytelling way. Bayley makes everybody she's in there with look great. She makes herself look detestable, but also makes herself look cowardly, but also makes herself look like a scalp to win if you beat her. Like, she can do all of those things. Bianca Belair, and I know I shit on Bianca Belair a lot, or people think I shit on her a lot, where it's just, I'm just giving you my opinion, take it or leave it. Bianca Belair wouldn't be as established as she is without Bayley. I genuinely believe that. Now, she's a great athlete, she's a great wrestler, she's got a shitty gimmick, that's not exactly her fault. She's got all those things. She's got the aptitude, the athleticism, the physical attributes that make her what she is. Absolutely not taking anything like that away from her. But who she is in the WWE sphere, in the WWE context, Bianca Belair would not be where she is right now without Bayley. Come at me. Prove yourself wrong. Okay. Now we get to the saggy middle of the Rumble, unfortunately. The four-way was next, and the fact that the U.S. title was saved till after the four-way kind of proves my point a little bit. The four-way was slow. It was kind of dull. They did pay off the smash 'em stack 'em thing from WrestleMania. It was really funny the way they were talking about it on commentary when he started to stack up people. I mean, he's been in a triple threat match before when he had to stack up two people and pin two people. Fuck naming Bryan Danielson or Adam Copeland by name, because fuck them. What was I going to say? I lost my train of thought now. The way they set up the stacking thing, they had Orton on the ground, they had LA Knight lying on top of him waiting for the rest of the stack to happen, like that wouldn't just be counted as a pin, but whatever. AJ Styles hitting a phenomenal forearm on Roman Reigns, who falls on the pile, and then him trying to pin the whole pile, and then the whole pile kicking out. I get what they were going for. I do give them credit for what they were going for, but it wasn't it. It just wasn't. And then the rest of it moved along relatively slowly. Everybody got their shit in. Of course, Solo Sikoa got involved and started thumbing people, and Roman won. I wish I could say more about that, but like, we knew Roman wasn't going to win. Or sorry, wasn't going to lose, rather. So I don't know what else to say about it. Really? I don't. Oh, the one thing I forgot to mention about Jordynne Grace's entrance is I do love Triple H's little reference at the press conference when he said, you know, our doors are open to anybody that seems to work out at the time. We're very happy to have talked to TNA and worked with Scott D'Amore, and we're able to provide this opportunity for Jordynne Grace to join us for the Rumble. I'm not going to call it anything. I'm not going to call it an open door or whatever other silly things other people call it, because that's just silly. If it makes sense to do it, we'll do it. I'm like, that's so fucking good. And yeah, because there's a fan base right now that's chomping at the bit with any little scrap of anything that they can find online, whether it's true or not, whether it was Triple H or not, to try and take down WWE, who right now are probably the best they've ever been. I liked him getting in that. We're not going to call it a forbidden door or an open door. We're not going to talk about who's walking through what door, because that's just silly. And do you know why that works? Do you know why that works? And I'm sorry, I really don't want to turn this into an anti-AEW thing, because that's like kicking a dead dog at this point. But the whole Forbidden Door thing never made sense. Never made sense. From its inception, AEW was sort of based on, like, we'll work with anybody. Like, how many different people did they work with to get the original All In off the ground? Credit to them, they did it, and it was a fine show, I guess. But there's people from everywhere on their show all the time, to the point now where they have an entire gimmick pay-per-view. That's what it is. I mean, I was there in Toronto for Forbidden Door 2. I saw Omega Ospreay. I said it was the greatest match I saw last year in person. It doesn't change the fact that it's a gimmick pay-per-view. If you have an entire gimmick pay-per-view based around the fact that you do these crossovers all the time, there's nothing forbidden about it anymore. There's no tee-hee, there's no taboo, there's no look at what we're doing. It's stupid and it's silly, and we don't need to put a name on it. Hey, so-and-so from TNA wants to come over and have a good run in the Rumble. Jordynne Grace came in, spent 20 minutes in the Rumble mixing it up with all kinds of people that I'd love to see her talking about having matches with in the future. Yeah, is it, oh my god, somebody must have opened a door? No, she's an awesome talent that just happens to work in another company, so of course we put her in our Rumble. There's no door closed in her face. There's no door to be forbidden. Love that. Love that for Triple H. On a week where TKO has The Rock announcements, on a week where we have comebacks, on a week where The Rock has joined the board, on a week where the Netflix thing was just announced to the tune of $5 billion. Love that for Triple H. Step down into the muck with your competition and give them a little bit of a kick. one kick to the competition that tries to give them a kick a week. And I mean, the competition's probably also on cocaine, so there's also that. Switching over to the men's rumble, not nearly as many surprises in the men's rumble, not nearly as many anticipations, I guess you could say. I mean, the Okada thing was kind of hanging over the rumble, but as the rumble went on, it kind of went away. It was more of a storytelling rumble. Now there were stories in the ladies' rumble as well. The damage control thing continues to go on. The immediate TNA story between Jordynne Grace and Naomi was awesome. People being called up from the NXT to be on a main roster show is always a story within itself. People coming back from injury, like Liv Morgan, is a story within itself. But let's talk about the men's rumble, and why the hell not dive in with both feet. Numbers 1 and 2 were Jay and Jimmy Uso, and they didn't do 2 minutes this year, they did 90 seconds. The first 90 seconds was Uso versus Uso, which was fine, and I don't remember who came in third. I think it was Austin Theory. But number 4 was a comeback. Somebody else. Naomi's come home. Jade Cargill has found a new home. Somebody else who's come back home is Andrade. Good to see Andrade. And the voice in his intro said El Idolo. So maybe he's keeping the Andrade El Idolo name and he's not going back to Andrade Cien Almas. So that's fine. Later on in the Rumble, obviously Santos Escobar tries to team up with him. He tries to give him the fist bump in the air, all that kind of thing. And he sort of shoves him off. So maybe he's not going to be a heel right away. I mean, he's a great heel. Let's be real for a second. It's a big win to get him back. I always say, once again, and this isn't even a dig directly at AEW, but AEW getting people to come over from WWE is kind of a win because, okay, yeah, you don't like where you are, come on over here, you don't know what it's like over here. But somebody that's gone from WWE to AEW and come back has an equal view of both companies, is making a more educated decision to come back to the big leagues. You'll love to see it. CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, Jade Cargill's a slightly different conversation. Now Andrade. Supposedly Rusev and Aleister Black want to come back as well. Good to see Andrade. He had a good run. He was in there for almost 23 minutes, 22 minutes and 59 seconds. Didn't eliminate anybody, but I'm sure we've already planted the seeds for something between him and Santos. Now, I said it when I was talking about SmackDown. The LWO versus Legado story is growing. You've got, on one side right now, you've got Santos, you've got Angel, Humberto, and now Elektra Lopez. On the other side of the coin, you've got Carlito, Cruz del Toro, Joaquin Wilde, and Zelina Vega. Now, is there going to be some kind of like recruiting war, bidding war to see who can get Andrade on their side? That'd be fun. Or, if we do get Rey Mysterio back from injury, does he go to the baby faces and then Andrade goes to the heels? If we get a disintegration of the Judgment Day, which I don't think will happen, do you get Dominic Mysterio siding up with Santos, which makes Andrade go with the baby faces? There's going to be, I'm predicting, whether or not we get Rey Mysterio back is a huge linchpin of all of this, but I'm predicting we're going to get some massive multi-person, like, Civil War type match out of this at some point. Are they going to stretch it all the way to Mania? Will we be sick of it by then? Who knows, but it is what it is. At number 5, I don't know whether to call this a call-up or not because he has been splitting his time between NXT and SmackDown, but Carmelo Hayes was in there. He lasted 17 minutes and 6 seconds. He eliminated Grayson Waller, which is a lot of fun. Grayson Waller's there to be eliminated. Are they going to try and babyface him before the Elimination Chamber? Because here's the thing. Here's the thing about Elimination Chamber being in Perth, which looks awesome. All the trailers for it look awesome. We're hearing that whatever the main event is of Elimination Chamber, it's going to have Rhea Ripley in it. Now, is that going to be Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax, which has been rumored? Or is that going to be Rhea Ripley defending her title in the chamber itself? Who knows? But Rhea Ripley's going to main event a pay-per-view, as she deserved, as she should have main evented Night 1 of WrestleMania last year, because she went pillar to post, won the Rumble, and had the most dominant performance of a woman in a Royal Rumble ever. She should have main evented. All due respect to the Usos, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, Rhea Ripley deserved it more. Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte was one of the best matches on that card and one of the best women's matches of last year. Should have been evented night one. I'm sorry, but it should have. My point of all that being is we're going to Australia, and there's rumors of one of the Iconics coming back. I think the other one's pregnant right now, and congratulations to them. That's not a dig. It would have been cool, timing-wise, if we had had both of the Iconics back. Can you imagine the Iconics versus the Kabuki Warriors in Australia? That would have been fucking great. But you want to talk about the Australians that they have on the roster? They have some, but they're all heels. Rhea Ripley, I mean, people love Rhea Ripley, but technically she's a heel. A lot of people like Grayson Waller, but he's a heel. Bronson Reed is awesome, but he's a heel. So who... I don't want to make this too geographic, but who do the Australians have to cheer as their hometown here? I mean, it's going to be Rhea Ripley. I'm asking a redundant question. But as things are written on paper, and yes, we don't wrestle on paper, we wrestle on canvas. I'm going to use the joke twice in one podcast. But who are they going to cheer for? Now, another thing we had on Friday, I'm sorry I didn't mention it before, was Lashley and the Street Profits taking on the Final Testament, which is Karrion Kross, and the Authors of Pain, sidled by Scarlett and... what the hell is his name? Oh, I can't think of their manager's name right now. Paul Ellering, there we go. Now... Karrion Kross and Lashley were both in the Rumble. They both eliminated each other because that's one of those weird Rumble rules that everybody likes. But it brought us to what we really wanted, which was the brawl on the outside that brought out the Authors of Pain, which brought out the Street Profits. Now, kayfabe-wise, if I was the Authors of Pain and the Street Profits, I would be saying, like, fuck both you guys, how come we didn't get spots in the Rumble? Specifically, somebody like a Montez Ford, I'm thinking about, could have done some awesome shit in the Rumble. Montez Ford could have done some... like some Kofi Kingston trademark type stuff. Kofi Kingston tried for something at some point in the Rumble and it didn't work. I think he got chopped out by Gunther and he was out there wrestling in his boxer shorts again. So I don't know what the deal is there. Point is, in the middle of the Rumble, we got another brawl between the Final Testament and Bobby Lashley and his guys. That was a lot of fun. Braun Breaker came in at 20. Rumor is he took the Brock Lesnar spot. We don't need to get into it because breathing life into allegations is dangerous. But he had a good run. I mean, he's main roster ready. Say the same thing about Roxanne Perez. We're counting down the days until these people show up on the main roster. But he eliminated Jimmy Uso, Finn Balor, Ivar, and Omos, as well as having a really nice stare down with Gunther. Now, there's a million people that are sort of fantasy booked to face Gunther at WrestleMania. I would say I would say Jey Uso. I would say Chad Gable if you want to do that. A lot of people were picking him to win the Rumble. Spoiler, he didn't. And a lot of people were booking him maybe in an exhibition type match against Brock Lesnar. Now, because of stuff, I'm not doing it. But if this was Lesnar's spot, getting face to face with somebody like Gunther, could he have been drop kicked into a WrestleMania spot? Could we get Braun Breaker versus Gunther at WrestleMania, perhaps for the Intercontinental Championship? I would really like to see it. Again, don't like how we got there, but it sort of is what it is. He lasted 5 minutes and 19 seconds, but he mixed it up with pretty much everybody. And if you're gonna, Jay didn't eliminate Jimmy, which would have been a really cool story point. So to take that from Jay, story-wise, and give it to Breaker, that means something. Finn Balor, even though he's sort of a goofy guy in a tag team within a faction right now that's run by Rhea Ripley, is still a super popular, talented guy. He got eliminated. Ivar and Omos are for the, oh my god, I can't believe he got those guys over the top rope spot. It is what it is. I do think it's kind of funny, before I get off the topic of Jimmy Uso, he stood toe-to-toe with his brother at the beginning of the match, but 5 or 6 times when somebody else would attack Jay, he would try to buddy up with them and then get a punch in the mouth for it. He's playing a pretty comical role right now as well, which is fine, but the comedy is also based on the fact that he's so gaslit by Roman Reigns that he has to pretend that everything's fine. And, oh yeah, of course I can do this. Of course I can do that. Of course I can do this. Of course I can do that. So there's like tension underneath the comedy, And I think he's doing that really well. Now, if they were to fight one-on-one at WrestleMania, and I think they might still fight one-on-one at WrestleMania, I'm still pulling for Jay. Jay should be the one to beat Roman Reigns' title thing. I'm still going to stick to that, but the brothers have always talked about wanting to face at WrestleMania, so I'm happy for them if we get that. Number 22 was Pat McAfee, who stepped into the ring, and the only people in the ring at the time were Braun Breaker, Omos, and Gunther. And he said, fuck this shit, I'm out. And he eliminated himself in 38 seconds. So technically, Pat McAfee does have an elimination under his belt, but Pat McAfee's only elimination is Pat McAfee. There we go. At number 4, out came R-Truth. Right after JD McDonough, who didn't even get into the ring because a eliminated and pissed off Braun Breaker had speared JD McDonough on the aisleway. R-Truth goes and high-fives him, and then he hops up on the hops up on the corner of the ring, rather. He sees Dominic Mysterio in the ring. That's one of his teammates in the Judgment Day. Stands on the apron, grabs the tag rope, and waits for the hot tag. R-Truth hot tagged himself into the Royal Rumble, which is fine. Then we got to the end, the 30th participant, when everybody was predicting it was going to be something. Some people were still saying Okada, some people were groaning, thinking it was going to be The Rock, etc., etc., etc. But it was Sami Zayn, who we haven't seen in a little while, so whatever had him away, he's back now. But at the end, you had Priest, Sammy, Gunther, Drew, Cody, and Punk. There we go. I pulled that off the top of my head because I didn't write that shit down. Obviously, everybody else gets taken out. Oh, I should say as well, Dominic Mysterio took out Braun Breaker, which is hilarious. It ended with sort of a mini match. Kind of think back to whatever year it was where we got a little mini 10-minute match between Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker at the end of the Rumble, which was cool because the following year the first 2 people in the Rumble were Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker. Makes me think that next year the first 2 entrants in the Rumble will be Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. But anyway, long drawn out match between the two of them. Punk came out at 27. He didn't last in the thing very long. Cody and Punk, crossroads to GTSs, to sleepers, to gold dust uppercuts, to teases, to pointing at the sign, to CM Punk standing over Cody Rhodes and saying, I didn't wait 10 years to come back and lose to Dusty's kid. And at that minute, you knew that Cody Rhodes was going to win. Cody Rhodes chucks out CM Punk. CM Punk. The shot of Cody Rhodes celebrating on the turnbuckle that was shot over CM Punk's shoulder was awesome. And I know I probably bring this up more than most people, but there are times in wrestling where the filming, the cinematography, whatever you want to call it, is everything. Famously, people go back to when AJ Styles made his debut in the Rumble, and nobody saw him on the ramp because they were shooting the ring, they were shooting the crowd, etc. Nobody knew what the music was because the music was brand new, and the pop when Phenomenal came across the screen was only for the live audience because we were still looking in the ring. Stuff like this, the shot over Punk's shoulder as Cody Rhodes wins, and he's looking pissed. It's perfect. Was I pulling for Punk? Of course I was pulling for Punk. The guy got fucked over by AEW. The guy got fucked over by WWE 10 years ago as well. Let's be fair about it. So it was a comeback within a comeback for CM Punk, and would I have loved to see him win? Yeah, but it is what it is. People are way too obsessed with what CM Punk wears. People betting on whether he was going to wear the trunks or the shorts or the long boys. I don't know why this is a thing. This is like the weirdos that obsess over Valhalla's feet and the fact that she doesn't wear shoes or wrestling boots or whatever. I don't get it. I don't understand. I'm not going to pretend that I do. CM Punk came out in the same kind of wrestling gear that he's always sort of worn in WWE matches. Now, apparently, that Madison Square Garden show where he fought Dominic Mysterio, he was wearing plain black tights because his got lost. So even that has a bit of lore to it. So I'm sort of burying the lead here a little bit. Your winner is Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes came in at 15. What was the number? I lost the number. Give me 1 second. He came in at 15. He lasted 43 minutes and 21 seconds. He eliminated Austin Theory, Shinsuke Nakamura, Gunther, and Punk. Now, there's a little bit of lore even in that. Austin Theory is just a dope who would dare to stand up to Cody Rhodes. But Shinsuke Nakamura is the last feud that Cody Rhodes just went through, the last filler feud before the Rumble, and he had said, you know, I'm moving on to other things, I'm moving on to the Royal Rumble, but Cody, don't think the stuff between you and me is over. Really, really cool way of Cody Rhodes to say, yeah, our shit's fucking over. Gunther was the one that went pillar to post last year and ultimately lost to Cody, so he had his WrestleMania dreams dashed, no pun intended, by Cody Rhodes 2 years in a row, and CM Punk was not only the guy that got in his face most recently leading into the Royal Rumble, but also the match that was rumored in that Sports Illustrated article that I spoke about last week. So there's thought behind that. There's lore behind that. You know, there's long-term storytelling behind that. There's deft dovetailing booking, as one wingnut at What Culture would say. And not only does he point to the WrestleMania sign, but he turns to the opposite corner of the ring, to the skybox where Roman Reigns is sitting, because we saw a couple of times Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins in their respective skyboxes watching the Rumble. He not only points to the WrestleMania sign, but then he turns and points to Roman Reigns. He confirms it on mic to the audience after the camera stopped rolling, and he confirmed it in the press conference as well. And that's the last time I'm going to mention the press conference. I thought that was really cool. I thought it was an interesting... They did a couple interesting things. They had the two champions up in the skyboxes watching the men's Rumble. They showed multiple times Io Sky and Rhea Ripley watching backstage on the monitor, because, you know, it's got their attention, which draws a lot of eyes to it and whatever. The other thing that they did, and this was a little thing, this was a little tiny thing that they did, and I don't think I've ever seen them do it before. Every now and then there was a graphic in the top left-hand corner of your TV screen showing the wrestlers that have been in there the longest with an ongoing counter. Now, they've always done that on commentary for Royal Rumbles. It's like, oh my god, look at so-and-so, they're really having a run, they're coming up on 20 minutes, or whatever the case may be, or they'll tell you how many they've eliminated or whatever. But to actually put it on screen every once in a while, it made you, for the people that were there the longest, like your Baileys and your Naomis and your Cody Rhodeses in this case, it made you feel tired with them while you were watching it, and it made it so that you didn't have to be told. I thought that was really cool. I hope that that's a thing that they do going forward. Also, the counter between entrants being sponsored by C4 Energy, going 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, C4, 3, 2, 1, just made me laugh every time, mostly because I was watching the What Culture Watch Along, and Adam Wilborn made it funny every time. Shout out to that guy. Shout out to him and Michael Hamflett and all the other guys over at What Culture who have gotten into the muck and mire of the allegations, the accusations, the assumptions that have been going on since about Thursday, because those guys are way more professional than me. They're going to be way nicer about it than I am, and they handled it with a lot of tact and a lot of class. So on a more serious note, shout out to those guys, because they always handle that kind of thing that way. Jey Uso as well is another one I should have mentioned, who went 50 minutes and 55 seconds in the Rumble. So he was on. This Rumble was a lot of fun. I kind of pointed out that it was an incredibly short show, but when you saw the middling matches, I don't even know. The whole Logan Paul beat Kevin Owens because the guy from his show got involved, and A-Town Down Under got involved, and there was a knuckle shot. And Kevin Owens used his own weapon against him, but because Kevin Owens is a good guy and he's not very good at being a bad guy, he got caught and he got disqualified. Now that's a DQ, it's a BS finish, but it's as good a BS finish as you're gonna get on a match that ultimately didn't really matter. You could have taken out both title matches and you just could have done 2 Rumbles back to back. I'm sorry, I hate to be that dismissive. I like Kevin Owens, I like Logan Paul, I like AJ Styles, I like Randy Orton, I like Roman Reigns, I like LA Knight, yeah, but this was not the night for any kind of spotlight to be shown to them whatsoever. So the real stories coming out of here, from SmackDown to the Rumble, Elektra Lopez is on the main roster now. Trick and Mello are spending more time on SmackDown. The Kabuki Warriors are your new women's tag team champions. Naomi's back in the company. Jordynne Grace did a great cameo in the company. Roxanne Perez might be called up. We'll know more after next weekend. Jade Cargill has made her debut. Tiffany Stratton is another one that may or may not be called up. We'll probably know more after Vengeance Day. Liv Morgan is back from injury. Bayley's going to WrestleMania. Andrade has come home. Carmelo made a great showing of himself in the Rumble. Braun Breaker potentially took Brock Lesnar's spot, but made a great showing of himself in the Rumble. Pat McAfee did a comedy spot. Yay. R-Truth is a weirdo. And Cody Rhodes is going to WrestleMania. So you can't say that this is a show that doesn't have talking points coming out of it. I really want to know. I am going to dig down on this quite a bit. I really do want to know what you guys think about the potential of more crossover between WWE and TNA, because I think that's a really fun topic to play with. I have gone on quite long enough. I thought this was going to be a quick review. It's the Rumble. It's not going to be a quick review, is it? Anyway, let me know what you guys think of everything down in the box below. I'm not going to get involved in the muck, so don't bother messaging me. Don't bother commenting on the video. Don't bother hitting me up on X at Spaz Phoenix to talk about the muck, because it's all stupid. And all the conversations happening online right now are fucking stupid, because you don't know and I don't know, so we shouldn't say anything. That's all I got. WWE's in a great place. That's what I will tell you. I've been Spaz, your YWC reality check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I am tagging out.